Welcome to the Literary Escape podcast, the only podcast that serves both readers and authors of historical Christian romance. We read, discuss, review, and rate books in this unique romance subgenre, and sprinkle in a few contemporary Christian suspense books. Authors, we bring you inside tips and tricks from those who have gone before you. Then we bring both readers and authors together for fun-filled live Q&As. Literary Escape is the one-stop shop for both readers and authors to connect, learn, and grow together. Let's dive into this adventurous episode. Welcome back to another Friday Book Club discussion. Today we are very excited to bring you author Misty M as she talks to us and shares a little bit about her Sapphire Ranch series. All right, here are a few announcements before we dive in with Misty. Our next Coffee and Books event will take place on Tuesday, April 15th from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join Lynn Blackburn and myself for an hour of book talk. Sign up for this free event at literaryescape.com/events to get the link to join. I have another book giveaway for April through BookFunnel. Just use the link in the blog post for this episode to claim these free reads. On Saturday, April 19th, I will be at the Branch Coffee Shop in Fairmount, Indiana from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with author Abby Downey. We will have bingo and door prizes, and we hope to meet some of you there. If you have read Unwavering Faith, I would love to hear your thoughts. Send me an email at literaryescape@literaryescape.com, and also help spread the word and send your friends to literaryescape.com/shop to get their copy of the book. And this is very exciting. The limited edition covers for book 2 of the Bounty Brothers series, Uncharted Trials, are now available for pre-order. We are also bringing back a second printing of the limited edition cover for book 1, Unwavering Faith, in case you missed it. Limited edition covers will no longer be available after Uncharted Trials releases in June, so head over to literaryescape.com/campaign to order your copies today. That's it for announcements. Let's jump into this week's author interview with Misty M. Welcome back, everyone. We are so excited to have author Misty M. join us today to talk about her Sapphire Ranch series. So welcome, Misty. So glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back on.
It's been a little bit since we've had you, but we have thoroughly enjoyed your Sapphire Ranch series. So let's just start off with, what was your inspiration behind that series?
So I was really struggling to come up with an idea for a new series. I had just finished writing my Call of the Rockies series, which there was a lot of traveling back and forth across the Rocky Mountains in that series. And so I knew I wanted to kind of settle in one place, or one general place, for the next series. And I was with a group of writer friends brainstorming their books. And I said, guys, can I have like just 15 minutes? Because I need help. And I tell you, these ladies, writer friends, are the most creative people in the world. And so I knew I wanted it set in Montana, or the Montana territory there in the Rockies. And we were just throwing around all kinds of different ideas. And finally someone said, what about a mine, but not a gold mine, something different? And someone threw out sapphires. And so I thought, I love sapphires because I'm a September baby and that's my birthstone. And I did a quick Google search. Are sapphires mined in Montana? Oh my goodness. Every amazing idea comes from a Google search. It turns out that there are 3 air pockets in Montana where sapphires are mined. And the first pocket was discovered in 1890, which was later than my story, set in the 1860s, late 1860s. And it came together just absolutely perfectly, because I knew I wanted a family of brothers, and I wanted them to kind of be protective of their ranch and not want people on it. And so just the idea that they had discovered the sapphires early and didn't want people to come and discover more sapphires in the area. So there would be this sapphire rush.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely perfect. So from there spun the whole idea for the series.
I love their code word, by the way. How did you come up with the code word? It's strawberries, is what they call their sapphires. Yes.
So if they happen to be talking about the mine in front of other people, they wouldn't stumble across it. I don't know. That was just something that came out as I was writing. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I want him to say sapphires. Maybe we should come up with something different. And it was just a little blip of a thought, and it was perfect.
I loved it in the first book when they were sitting around the table and she's like, I'm going to go pick strawberries. And is it Diana?
Dinah, yeah.
It was like, oh, well, we can go do that. You know, that's a woman's job. Talking about strawberries.
Like, why are we sending the men to pick berries? Not sure about this.
Yes. Love it. All right. Are we on for the second?
Yeah.
Okay. So were there any characters or scenes that gave you any trouble?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard question. That's a really hard question. There's a lot of characters in the series, for me anyway. I tend to write very remote settings so that I don't have a lot of characters to play with. I can really dig in deep to the characters that I have. And probably like many writers, I don't really like the first third of the book. I'm really getting to know my characters. And so every book has its challenges in that way. But oh my goodness, I fall in love with my heroes so deeply. Each one that I just wrote is my all-time favorite. And so I don't know. I guess I'm undecided which ones gave me the most trouble. It could be Jonah. It actually could be Jonah and Patsy both. I loved the chance to write his story, but it felt like there was a lot of pressure with his story, just because the poor guy had been through so much, just being a stand-up guy and being passed over, even though he was. I'm trying not to give spoilers to the series, but anyway, he was the one not chosen several times, in different ways, but. And so I really wanted to do justice to his story and like give him the happy ending that he really deserved. And so I think it took a little bit to get to that for me.
Yeah. And even in the very first story, what happened to him there was just yes.
Yeah, it just felt like I beat Jonah up right and left.
Yeah.
Pretty bad femur break in the opening of the very first story. Very first chapter, very first book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought you did a great job giving him a happy ever after, for sure.
Good.
I thought I enjoyed his story. So on that note, then, are there any characters that surprised you?
Oh my goodness. So I like people to be happy. And I again, with kind of the same brainstorming friends, I was about halfway through the series and I was getting ready to start writing Gil's story, which is pretending to be the mountain man's wife. I didn't have any idea what his story was going to be yet. No clue whatsoever. I think I was in the middle of writing Jonah's story, maybe. And I was thinking ahead. And so my writer friends, who again, I don't know how I could write books without them, because they challenge me. They like knock me off the track I was thinking. One of them said, who's your bad boy of the brothers? Like, who's the black sheep? And I said, I don't have one. Does somebody have to be bad? And so that's when we kind of figured out Samson's arc. So Samson is the second from youngest. There's for those who haven't read the series yet, there's 6 brothers, and then they had an older sister who died before the first book started. So of the 6 brothers, Samson is 5th in line. And he Again, I'm trying not to give spoilers. This is hard.
It's hard, isn't it?
He was trying to help the family, but made what turned out to be a mistake. And then he has spent the last 3 books trying to recover from, or trying to fix that mistake. And so his whole arc in these last 3 books has just been a surprise to me every step of the way. Every part of these last 3 books has been oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I did not see that coming as I was, writing it or brainstorming it or whatever the case is. So as the reader is surprised, please know I was surprised.
No, because I will say Samson did surprise me. Just so far what he's done and in reaction to what happened. Like you said, he had good intentions.
Yeah. Yes.
And then Jess and Gil's story, that surprised me. I didn't see that coming at all. There's just some twists in there that I
don't know I don't think you've asked who my favorite
yeah,
is.
so we can. Go ahead and share.
We're not supposed to have favorites, but I actually think Gil and Jess are my favorite. There was just, Gil is just like the perfect, like, I don't know what even the word is for it, but like he was there for her every step of the way. And I just, as hard as her backstory was to write, and also I'm sure it would have been really hard to live. Like, it's hard. I have to remind myself these are not real people. She didn't actually live it, but that would have been so hard to live. And he just like came into it and was the guy. He set aside his mission, not completely, but gave her the priority when she needed it. And he still had his own stuff to deal with. But I loved their story. They were just like the couple that from the get-go I was rooting for and just deeply connected with. So
that eventually comes out, that one surprised me too. I didn't see that coming from her until it came out, and then I was like, oh my goodness, like so we won't share what it is, but
yes.
Of all of them, I've read the first 6. Jude and Gil's were my favorite stories.
Jude too.
Yeah, Jude was really good.
Stand-up guy.
Oh yeah.
I came home from work and I was like, I just got done with the 5th one. I have one more to read. I downloaded Gil's story and read it in one night. I could not put it down because I wanted to know what happened. Mm-hmm. So it was really good. Yeah.
I'm so glad. It's kind of how I felt when I was writing it. I was like,
I think Jude and Gil are very similar. Like, Jude had this such commitment to God. Like I said, that I would not be unequally yoked. And here he's like thinking, what have I done? He's trying to.
Yeah.
Yes, he has his accident. Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
And I just love how he was just always like beseeching the Lord, right? What do I do? What do I do? I'm not sure how to do this. And his heart for her and her salvation. I loved it. And then I feel like Gil was similar, but it was a different scenario.
Yeah. Yes. And I think those two are probably my 2 favorite heroes. Them and of course Jericho. Jericho is just like the tall, dark, brooding, amazing. But yeah, Jude and Gil, like they're the kind of guy that I just like I connect with so deeply. And just like you said, their heart for the woman and just like I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words right now.
Yeah. But, it's this like I want to do the right thing by her, but
yes.
And I don't know how to explain it either. It's like you want to. They have this desire to present the woman they love to God in like this perfect way. So how do I do that? Like, how do I protect her? How do I lead her? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yes, that's it. Yes. It's like, it's a combination of integrity and just, I don't know, a little bit of discipleship, but like, like this is the woman that I have been like, it's the whole Christ with the church thing, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I really, really love their stories.
Presenting their bride, right?
Yeah.
Love it. So any fun facts you came across? You said your Google search was
interesting. It revealed a lot. Any other fun facts you came across while writing?
Oh my goodness, there's always so many. So for me, I write in the same general time period, like always before 1880, always in the Rocky Mountains, often in the Montana Territory area. So I don't have to do a ton of research for each book, often not much research for each book because I'm so deeply entrenched in this setting. And like I'm always reading firsthand accounts of trappers back then or just, all the things. I'm always like in my fun time reading nonfiction stuff from that area. So there's not like book specific research that I do a lot. But there was for most of these actually, like I got to really do a deep dive into gambling in that area when I was writing Jonah and Patsy's story, and riverboat gambling and like some things that I've researched in the past for other books, but I needed to brush up on it. And Jude and Angela's stories opened in New York City, and I'm thinking, how many historical romance books have I read in New York City? I've read a lot, Elizabeth Camden and whatnot, but I had to do some research. What exactly did New York City look like in 1878? So it was really fun to do research that I've never had to do before. I guess I'm not really sharing a fun fact. But just the unique settings, or not so much unique, but unique from my books, was a lot of fun to research. Like, which train routes would they have taken from New York City to St. Louis? Again, for Jude and Angela's book. It was interesting when I was researching the sapphires. So the first batch of sapphires that came out of Montana in 1890 were actually sold to Mr. Tiffany in New York City. And so that part of the story that they would deliver the sapphires once a year to Tiffany's in New York City, that actually was based on historical fact. So kind of interesting.
So I know you like the Montana Territory, and I know you don't live. You're more in the Smoky Mountain area, aren't you?
We are, yeah.
Okay, so have you visited Montana before, or is it a favorite vacation spot, or?
Yeah, so we live in South Carolina. I was born and raised in upstate South Carolina, and we have family in California. So when I was growing up, my grandparents and my mom are from California, and we would drive across the country about every other year. And we took a different route most of the time. Like sometimes we'd take I-40 through the middle of the country. Sometimes we'd take I-10 and 20 across the southern route. And sometimes we'd do I-70 or I-90 across the northern route. And that was my older brother and I's favorite route, because we'd get to go through Montana and Colorado and Wyoming and whatnot. And I really fell in love with the Rockies during that time. Just getting to see almost the entire country from like the Texas and Arizona deserts all the way up. You get to see a lot, but I really just fell in love with the Rockies. And then when I was writing my first book, I knew I wanted it to be a historical romance and a Western, but I really wasn't sure where to set it. So actually, that first series trilogy was set in Texas. But while I was writing that first book, I had the idea for a story set in the Rocky Mountains, like hours away from the nearest town, and a log cabin, snowed in through the winter. And my heart just like latched onto that and just fell in love with that. And that book ended up being The Lady and the Mountain Man, which is the first book in my mountain series. And as I was writing that book, I knew I'd come home. Like I knew I'd found my spot. That was the perfect setting. And so every book other than that first trilogy that I've ever written has been set in the Rockies, either the US Rockies or the Canadian Rockies, which are just as amazing. So
I love the Rockies too. Never been. We actually had scheduled a trip to go out there, but it was back when they had all that flooding in Yellowstone, and that was the area we were heading to. So we just have not rescheduled. sense, but I can't wait to get out there. So I was just curious because I know you like to set your
It's
characters up in there. So
it's amazing. It's like when you're standing on one of those mountains and you look out, it is just this feeling of majesty that when you experience it, it's like you can never forget that feeling, and nothing else will ever be the same. It's
yeah.
really an amazing place, an amazing feeling. So I try to like portray that a little bit in each of the books.
No, I love it. All right.
Are there any fun behind scenes tidbits that you want to share?
Oh, I I probably should go ahead and share the names of my brainstorming partners, because so much of I haven't put acknowledgments in the books in so long, but so much of just the brainstorming and the amazingness of whatever amazing might be in the stories comes from them. Just and they are Lacey Williams and Robin Patchen and Susan May Warren and Hallie Bridgman, and they are just really, really smart women, and they ask me questions that just get the stories going in really fun ways. So huge thanks and kudos to them. That's like my behind the scenes brain. And I actually do writing sprints most every day with a couple of those ladies. So when I'm stuck, or when I like something doesn't quite feel right about where we're going in the story, I'll often bounce ideas off of them. So that's very much a behind the scenes look at my writing process.
There's there that you have to just connect
It,
with and brainstorm with. That's awesome.
it is. They're amazing ladies, and it's fun that they write different genres. They all write Christian fiction, but Lacey writes kind of the same genre, Christian historical romance. But the other ladies mostly write romantic suspense. So maybe that's why there's a good bit of suspense in the series. I like to write adventure into my books anyway. Like, I get bored if there's not things happening. So,
Bit of a cliffhanger here and there, or a little twist. Yes.
yes, exactly. So
That's awesome. And the other two, they're also, are they contemporary? I don't think they've done historical, have they?
Robin and, well, Susie actually has done. Susie's written so many books, it blows my mind. And I think she has some historical in her early, but at this point she writes strictly romantic suspense or romance. So
Yeah. I kind of watch her. She's another author I really enjoy
yes.
reading as well. Love her. I kind of like that suspense part.
Yeah.
I do too. Susie writes a lot of, she calls it epic adventurous romance. And so, yeah, she has that big adventurous feel too. And she's written quite a bit in the Montana area too. So
yes, I think, did she just have a series that just launched that's set in Montana, I feel like?
So she has her Montana Marshals series, and then she's got the Minnesota Marshals. So the Minnesota branch of the Montana family. So yeah, she's got a whole series there.
Okay. I think it might have been one of those Marshall series. I can't remember. I read through. It was very good. Anyways, we digress. I love that. But as you're writing your novels, what's your hope for your readers?
I want my readers to love the stories and be really drawn in. So there's really two kinds of people who might read Christian fiction. And one kind would be people who are Christians and who are working to live out their faith every day. And I want my novels to show people who are Christians just working to live out their faith every day. Like, that's really important to me. Definitely not all of my main characters, are Christians to start off with. Often at least one is not. But I love it when I get to write a character who is a Christian, just, working to, like, messing up and still trying to honor God through that, and, just struggling with the day-to-day faith life. And so I want my stories to be inspiring and just to draw Christians closer to God. And then there's the other person who is not necessarily a Christian, who just wants clean fiction, clean romance. They don't want to read all the language and other stuff. And so my prayer with them would be that just God uses it as one of the tools to draw them again closer to Him. So I guess short version, pray that my stories would be encouraging and entertaining, but also that they would draw readers closer to God, wherever they are in their walks. So I love getting emails from readers. It's just really a neat thing. And every now and then someone will say something like, I was struggling with whatever, and God's used your stories to just draw me closer to Him, or bring me back to where I was before, or whatever. And that just like, oh my goodness, that makes my week. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And that's one of the things I love about reading Christian fiction of any kind, really, is that it does make you get to see. I know the characters aren't real, but they feel real. When you read
really
them, and sometimes you're like, I want a friend like that, or I want to be that kind of friend, right? That my friends know they can count on me, like, to come to me, right? And I'll be a prayer warrior or whatever, whatever that character is.
Yeah.
I love that. I think you do a really good job of naturally weaving that in. I would say Jude was the one that stuck out to me the most, with his constant, like, finding a quiet place and asking God, even in like small moments too. He was always like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do, like, in this moment right now?
Yes.
I loved that, because I think sometimes we just get busy and we're doing our thing and we forget to go, oh wait, what is it you want me to do right now?
I do that all the time. Yes. Oh my goodness, Jude. There was so much of myself in Jude, just like my own struggles. And he applied them, of course, in his life differently, but like just the core struggle of, stopping and with the little things and the big things. It seems like every series has a Jude. Like I write a Jude into it because that's like just oftentimes what, like the themes or the spiritual arcs or whatever that are in a book. At least one of the characters is what I'm personally struggling with, or God's working with me on. So.
We just kind of go through a cycle with that too, where we're like, we do really well, and then all of a sudden we realize, man, I have not like sought His guidance for a little bit here.
Yes. Amen.
So yeah, very well written. It doesn't like hit you over the head, at all. It's very smooth, and it was so organic and such a part of his life.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's it. It is just part of life, and that's the part. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I get it. We love it. All right. Now we're going to flip the switch just a little bit here. And because we do have aspiring authors that are listening to this podcast as well. So go ahead, Jessica.
So what advice do you have for aspiring authors?
Oh boy. There's all the things. There's so many things to do and to know and to learn. I think for me, that as I look back through my career, the things that I have done that have helped me the most, there's probably two things, and they're kind of general, but one is just to learn and learn and learn and learn, and find the learning opportunities and soak it in and apply it, and apply the learning, and also just to really seek God's direction each step of the way through the writing journey. My writing journey has not gone at all the way I would have expected it to go, and it's just been God's little nudges here and there, and when I listen to His nudges, and when I stop to say, okay, God, is this the right path? Is this the person you want me to talk to? Or is, whatever, do you want me to sign this contract, or whatever the case is? The answers are not always the obvious ones. But the times that I've really listened have been hugely the right moves. So,
Mhm.
so learn and apply the learning and just really seek God's direction each step of the way, because it won't be the obvious answers often. So,
Walking through that myself right now with the launch of my first book. So it's been, you learn a lot. I mean, you just
yes,
kind of have to, you need to take time to learn, but at some point you gotta,
you have to do it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You just have to like keep taking the next step,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so easy, especially oftentimes writers and creatives are like perfectionists. They want it to be perfect before they release it. And um you have to keep taking the next step. You can't like be stagnant. So
Well, and you talk about, you have your group of writer friends, which I think that's so
yes,
important.
yes, it really
Just
is.
to have that community, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that community changes. Like the more you progress, it's I guess it's kind of like friends through school. Like it's okay for it to naturally shift, and like you move maybe a slightly different direction, different genre, different whatever of your groups, and so the group kind of shifts to a different look, different group of people, and that's okay. But it is super important to have that core of people around you that you're kind of doing it together.
Yeah. And they're great prayer partners too.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
You can't get these books out without that. So,
Into that.
all right. Is there anything else you want to? I will just say we have two other members in our book club group.
3.
Well, really 3, yes. Unfortunately, the flu and all of that is taking people out right now,
So
and
much
so
going
but
on.
they really wanted to talk to you and just say they absolutely loved the series.
Mhm.
I think I'm trying to remember now. Jamie said she loved how in Jericho's story, was it Judah that came up to him while he was chopping wood and was like, "You just need to go after her," right?
Oh, I think it was Gil. It might have been Jonah. I actually, the reason I can't remember is because I changed it in editing. It was one brother, and then I changed it to a different one, and I can't remember. It was the final.
But she loved then that when we turned around and we got Jonah's story, that he was out chopping wood and Eric is the one that came to him and said, she just loved how that paralleled.
Yes.
Like it was like the same, similar but different guys that saying,
Yeah.
you need to just knock it off. She's a great woman. Go get her. You know?
Yes. Yes.
And I do remember Jamie saying Two Stones story was one of her favorites.
She loved.
Oh, I didn't even mention Two Stones. Oh my goodness. I was telling Robin the other day that because Robin also was the editor on these books. She's an incredible editor. She's stepping back from editing, but I think my book was this Samson story was maybe her last official. And I was telling her that Two Stones, I think, might be my favorite of everything. And I hope that I have done him justice. I definitely he's Native American. But he's like one of the brothers and has been, like one of the brothers since they were all kids, barely teenagers. And I love to write Native American characters because, it doesn't matter what our race is. We're just all people, and there's good and there's bad and there's, struggles and like everyone is three-dimensional. And so I've done a lot of research to write Native American characters accurately and to really write them fairly. And so I've really tried to apply that with Two Stones. And so I hope I've not in any way made him anti-stereotypical, like too good. But he is just the coolest guy. I just love Two Stones. he's just like, he's there when the guys need him. And you're going to love Two Stones in Samson's book. Let me just say that.
Love how in all the books he just shows up right when they need him. Like,
yeah, the guy gets around. Like that's his job to get around, and he's very intuitive.
I'm sorry. What was his wife's name?
Heidi. Yeah.
Heidi. She's perfect for him, and he was perfect for her. I just loved how gentle he was with her through that whole process. So
yes. Oh, I loved writing their story. Yes. Um, it's fun to work in like some of the romance tropes. Like that was a marriage of convenience, because her father, trusted Two Stones and said, "My daughter, I can't go until she's with someone that I trust, and you're the only one I trust with her." And just, I don't know, I just loved that. Love that. I will say that I'm in the brainstorming stages of the next series, and there is a chance Two Stones might show up in the next series too. None of the other characters. Well, I mean, some of the other characters might. I don't know, but I already have a storyline in my mind for Two Stones through it, so I just can't let him go. He's I can't leave him behind yet. So
Yeah. He's great. I enjoyed his story too. I read that one pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot. Jamie said that was her favorite.
I
Yeah.
actually had not planned to write Two Stones story. I needed to write a marriage of convenience Christmas story for a collection with Lacey Williams and Jody Headland, and I was trying to figure out who to write. It wasn't going to be part of the series, and I just struggled and struggled, and finally I asked Lacey, can I just write Two Stones story? Is it okay if there's Native American? Like, is it going to mess up any of the plans for the collection or anything? Because I just really want to write this story. She's like, okay, go for it. So that's kind of how his story came about. That's how I finally got to write his. So
For Samson, I don't think you're going this direction, but in the back of my mind, because he's kind of back there for the last like 3 books or so. I kept thinking, is he like an undercover agent for like the U.S. Marshals or something? You don't have to say anything, okay? I'm just like, that's where my brain's going, because I can't understand why he would be doing what he's doing, right, and not taking the opportunities to get out.
You would make a really great brainstorming partner. I would write that book.
I'm happy to brainstorm with you.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you don't have to say anything to that. I'm just gonna throw that out there as like I think that's a plot line I saw coming possibly. So
Yeah.
I
Wow.
did. You put the teaser. You put the first 2 chapters in at the end of book 7. Was that book 7? 6.
Wow.
And I was like, I need this book to come out now. I need to know what's gonna happen.
Yes. So I just got my edits back this week on it, and I'm working through them, and so it's feeling real finally. Like it doesn't get to release until April because it has to go through narration and all that final proofreads and everything. But it's coming. It's coming really soon. And I was worried it was going to be late because the writing just took a little bit longer, and it ran longer than I expected it to. So I think it's actually earlier now than I had thought it would push to. So I'm hoping to be able to like share a little more with readers, even before the release. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to go.
No, then how can our listeners connect with you so they can kind of get that
Yes.
behind the scenes stuff?
My newsletter is where I really share everything. I am not very good at social media. There's just so much that my life gets a little crazy, and I just can't do it all. I can't do the writing and the mom and wife life and the social media. But my newsletter, I send it pretty regularly, and it's not super long. It's just several little sections, but that's definitely the place to know when things go on pre-order and when, if anything gets to release early, like any of the formats. That is the place for all the news, all the updates, and a few life updates, and maybe a picture or 2 of the kiddos if you like to, just a little smile at the end.
Yeah.
So I have 5 kids, so a lot of life happens in our family.
Mm-hmm. And am I right? They range from like college all the way down to toddler.
Yes. My oldest is at her first year at Clemson this year, and my youngest is 3. So they're a wide range.
Awesome. Well, I will put a link into your newsletter sign up for listeners. It'll be in the blog post for this, so you guys can connect with Misty,
Yes.
which I
And
highly recommend.
I do actually give away either a free ebook or audiobook. You can choose which format you want for people who subscribe to the newsletter. So it's a fun novella that's from a different series, but very much the same feel. I love.
I would say you are consistent in that, in the feel and the flow of your stories. It's consistent. So if you really love something that Misty has written, you'll love all her books.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I sometimes think, well, there was a time that I thought, am I going to get bored of writing like the same setting? But I'm not. Like, there's so many different characters and so many different storylines, and like each character is their own person. And so it just, they have their own story, backstory and forward story. So it's people.
If you haven't used that storyline with Samson, feel free to use it in one of your other in your next movie.
I actually put a little note here yes, that's actually a really great idea.
He just made me his actions just made me think, is he? So I just can't see Samson being bad,
Yeah, can't see any of the brothers being bad.
Don't write very good bad boy characters.
I love it.
Definitely has the good intentions. That's my spoiler for today.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Misty. It was a blast to talk to you again. It was
fun. Yes.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please consider signing up for our free newsletter. Each week, you'll receive news about our events for both readers and authors, plus updates on my books. You can sign up at literaryscape.com/newsletter. Until next time, happy and blessed reading and writing.